Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to the Apex Online Racing GT3 iRacing League. This week we've come to the World Center of Racing in Daytona Beach, Florida, to the southern tip of the United States of America to watch our GT3 drivers go to battle here on the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway in the infield road course. This is the third round of racing. We did have a little bit of an intermission, didn't broadcast live our second race at Sebring. But this will be our rejoining here is just at the end of qualifying, about a minute and a half left. I'm joined, of course, in the broadcast booth once more by my co-commentator and broadcaster, Niclas Domino. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm so great. I'm so pumped for this race. You know, this is where the new format as well is coming into place. We're gonna visit sprint and feature format, and just great to be back after a week off with racing. So I'm really looking forward to see what these guys can do out there today.
it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of new variables put in place for this, not only that new sprint and feature format, but also some updates from iRacing. Specifically, we discussed before the broadcast the implementation of the extended pit limit, meaning that when these drivers go down the pit lane, they are limited on speed until they have completely exited the pit exit road, which to anyone who's driven on this track in iRacing or otherwise will know that, well, there have been some quite interesting incidents, haven't there been, Nick? Whether it's in official series and special events, anything like that. We've seen several occasions where people have found themselves plowing into a tire barrier right where at the end of where turn 1 is and where the pit lane rejoins with the circuit. So that's going to be an excruciatingly long pit lane for these drivers, which in my opinion is going to make any sort of drive-through penalties or any penalties at all, whether it's speeding, something from the stewards from last week, anything of that nature. It's going to make it even more of a penalty. Your thoughts on that, Nick?
Yeah, you're definitely gonna lose a bit more when you get a penalty. So keeping your nose clean is even more important than before. But we're not really having. They don't need to have a pit stop, so it's not gonna have the effect that it might have had in past seasons. In that kind of way. But if you are forced to do a pit stop, yeah, it will definitely hinder you, as Mr. Skeppers is putting it on pole here with quite a big margin, actually down to Owen Blythe. Just here at the end of qualifying. So he's just having the same form as he had last time we saw him, being at the front of the field.
Absolutely, and the dominance just continues from that number 196 of Mike Skeppers. That McLaren proving ever strong, as we've seen a couple of different drivers switch over to the McLaren MP4 GT3 in the last between our last broadcast and now. So clearly one of the GT3s to beat, but quite a challenge to drive. We've talked to a few drivers in the paddock before the race, some of those drivers, Mike himself as well. I mean, they've said that in order to drive that car, you basically just have to not touch the steering wheel ever because of just how sensitive it can be to any sort of wheel input. So quite a challenge to drive, but certainly worth it if you get that lap time out of it.
It is a bit of a diva, and it's just so unforgiving if you miss anything. And I've been here for the most part of the practice sessions, and oh my God, the McLarens just went off left, right, and center, and that was Mike as well. I saw Mike crash a couple of times, and that's not really something that we normally see. So interested to see if they can keep the car on the track for the duration of the race and not just for this one lap qualifying here that we have just been going over. And right now we're just waiting for iRacing to acknowledge that the qualifying is over, so we can actually get the qualifying results for you guys out there. Is because we have been joining in a little bit late, and there we just got it. Everything being a little bit off, and here we are.
Right, so sitting on pole, unsurprisingly, is our dominant figure so far this season, Mike Skeppers, in the number 196 from V3 Racing. Not too far behind him, Owen Blythe in the Lamborghini still. That'll be an interesting topic of discussion later on in the broadcast. John Hallowell in the V3 Venom car. Then Andy Gorton, the first of the non-V3 Racing drivers in the grid. Alvar Gomez, who we saw have a pretty up-and-down race in the Audi in the first round of racing. And then Silver Tam from Radix Racing in 6th position. On the 4th row is going to be Rasmus Varblan, followed by Michael Edens, then Dan Alpel, Isaac Yen from Fiercely Forward. Good to see him out on track once again. Thomas Santot, as well as Kiefer McKenna. Not a very strong performance from him in qualifying. Evan Betts, his V3 Racing teammate, going to be on the inside of the 7th row, that is, in the V3 Racing car. Then Michael King-Sepp followed by Daniel Weber. Marco Zelenica coming back after a few seasons off from V3 Racing, from AOR Racing. Then Victor Mateos, Adam Flynn, and Asher Blythe. After that, Marvin Sluman, Chris Yardley, Stephen Brumfield. And then that is the end of our pro field. Merlin Cooper sits on the pole. Actually, no, Daniel Weber sitting on the pole for our AMs. I didn't even notice that was an AM driver all the way up there in 15th overall, but 23rd overall and second in the AM category is Merlin Cooper from the V3 Racing team. Then the person whose name I will never, ever be able to pronounce in 24th position.
that is Klopp from AOR.
Yep. And then Twan Van Belt in the 201, David Gowrie, followed by Jamie Smith, one of the favorites on the broadcast, as well as Davey Van Ababel. After that, Tanil, Kasserloo, Stefan Komke, our favorite slow boy, our fake snowflake, Pierre Thompson, Mads Jensen, followed by Joost, Daniel, Andreas Ansu, and Jordi Bess in the 36th position. And then rounding out the entire field, Ryan McIntosh. So that is your grid for the race today. Now taking a look up at the front of the field, there's Mike Skeppers. A 1-2-3 lockout for the V3 Racing cars, and you'll notice some of you may remember that Andy Gorton started off the season in that Mercedes AMG at Watkins Glen. That was our first round. He's now switched into the McLaren, as some other drivers have done. Pace truck peels off and away to the left-hand side to the safety of pit road, and away goes Mike Skeppers. A huge launch for him. Already 2 cars lengths between him and the side-by-side teammates, John Hallowell and Owen Blythe. Andy Gorton, nowhere to go there. He is stuck behind those V3 Racing cars. Looking at the rear end, the flames spitting out from John Hallowell. The advantage goes to Owen Blythe. They're coming off of turn 1. Hallowell able to defend from Andy Gorton. The Audi not too far behind, trying to look strong there. Side-by-side already, Andy Gorton going to the inside there on John Hallowell. A nice little buffer for the 105 Radix Racing Lamborghini between himself and the Audi of V3 Racing a little bit further back. Oh, and we have a spin! John Hallowell off the track. Did he jump or was he pushed? And we see a Ferrari also off the track coming out of the kink. So a ton of drama still wrecking out behind there.
Oh, that's a huge crash from...
Oh, and they're still wrecking all over the track. We got one car on its lid. And it looks like it was John Hallowell that started all that. Oh, and there's Merlin Cooper. Looks like that's going to be the end of his race.
That's a crap as well. I'm just going to see if I can find a little bit here. We have Hallowell right here.
Oh, and it looks like
losing it on his own.
Tires. Looks like cold tires there. So he wasn't actually... He would have just spun all by himself if not for some other action behind it. Wow, hard contact for that Lamborghini. We're on board now with, I believe that's Adam Flynn. Oh, and he just plows through. What was that? That looked like some sort of a... Maybe was that some sort of an issue with his hardware? It looked like he never got off the gas.
But if you look again, he gets hit by the field slip forward, and there he's just off.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do once you're in the grass.
No, the grass in iRacing is, that's just ice. Ice has more friction than this right here, and I can see everything is just going up and down on my my live timing here. So let's just try and see if we can go back live and get some pictures here and see how the standing is at the moment, with Shepherd's actually going, really strong. He was right out there just putting on the throttle at the beginning and got a big nice gap down to Owen Blythe, who actually I thought lost that position, but then came back there. And then we have Andy Gorton already up into P3, so he is happy with all the stuff that happened at the beginning, that he is actually on the podium. But Alvaro Gomez is definitely not letting up here, and let's see if he he's gonna make the strategy of just staying behind Gordon, or if he's gonna pounce and he's getting closer and closer. I think he's gonna pounce here.
Right,
No, he's just
absolutely. And I
lifting
mean,
off.
well, this is absolutely go time for these drivers. If you can get on the podium and get good points in this race, you absolutely want to. But an interesting strategy play if you're someone maybe like Thomas St. Tot, somewhere kind of in the middle of your field in class. Dan Alpel, Evan Betts also in that kind of area. Maybe it's worth the strategy, drop to the back of the field, because you know that in about 20 minutes time we're going to switch sessions, get into another session for the feature race, which will be determined, it will be a reverse grid determined by the results
We think
of this
so.
race.
We think so because there's been a little bit of a confusion.
And is that damage on the front end of Dan Alpel's car?
There's a little bit of damage on the front end of Alpo's car. What we are a little bit confused about it, because what we have been told at the beginning were that it was reverse grid, but when we look on the forums, it says from so the result from this race is the starting grid for next race. So it could be that Merlin Cooper and Adam Flynn is definitely being, that's a double whammy tonight, because they are not going to score points here, and they won't be, if there's a reverse grid, because you haven't completed the race, at least in other series we have had on AOR, you're not eligible for the reverse grid. So that might be something that could haunt them at the end.
Right, absolutely. Going to be a bit of a double whammy, but double the points available tonight. So for drivers that have good nights tonight, it's a double opportunity. But if you don't have a good sprint race, you'll have a brand new race car ready to go for the feature race. So that's going to be definitely interesting. So you can either double down on your points or maybe try to make a little bit of recovery in the points standings. Here we're taking a look at Daniel Weber, currently in the lead of the AM category in that rather brightly colored chrome pink car from Cabor Motorsports. I think that actually looks pretty awesome. Not a fan of the green wheels, but the livery itself looks quite nice, and it's interesting to see an Audi leading the category. We've talked a little bit in the past broadcasts about the strength of
I think... Did I see something here? Or is he back on track? No, he is back on track.
I think that might have been the overlay freaking out because he went wide on entry.
Ah, that's true. Oh, I have Asher here.
Right, so Asher Blythe, one of the many drivers that made the switch to the McLaren.
Oh, he's completely losing it on the braking.
Way too deep in there.
So lucky that didn't go worse, and he went off completely.
Yeah, I mean, he could have ended up in the barrier there, so absolutely lucky on his part to have not put it in the wall.
But that was day over for Asher. Asher has given up. Or has he?
I think he's still on track, isn't he?
I just lost him.
Or is he as some sort of...
Oh, he's here. He is here.
He was just hiding from us, that's all.
Ah.
So a little bit towards the back end of the grid, 21st position overall, as you see the brake rotors glowing. And actually, it's really nice to be under the lights for this race because it really features some of these awesome liveries that these drivers are running. Specifically, I mean, our leader in the AM category, Daniel Weber, in that rather spectacular-looking chrome pink livery, as well as all the V3 racing cars with their chrome gold features. That's definitely not a plug whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, taking a look here at Asher Blythe. Let's see if we got any more close battles for position. Actually, it looks like the battle for the lead in AM category is getting pretty close, within a second between Weber and Beld. So no livery on that Mercedes there, trying to catch up here, the 201 from the Road to Kahoot team, but showing a little bit of the strength. Some cars that we didn't see quite as strong at the beginning of the season, the Mercedes as well as the Audi coming to the aid of these drivers and bringing them towards the front of the field. And that's something I'll ask you about, Nick, is how much more is it important to pick a car that really suits your driving style in GT3? There's so many more manufacturers than in the GTE category, which we used to run for this series. Now we've switched to the GT3, and how much more individuality is there between the cars, and how does that impact each driver?
I won't. I would not go as far as saying there's more individuality between the cars. There's definitely more choice here. I will say the impact is about the same, but it's so important to get a car that you like driving, that you have a style that's just you. Because if you get into a car that is really fast, but a kind of a diva to drive, then you would use most of your time actually just trying to stay on track and not really be able to push and fight for positions. So it's really important to get a car that you gel with and that you feel comfortable with, because when you feel comfortable, that's when you get the pace. And actually just make sure that you know how your car behaves, because if you know some of the niche about the car, or that the Lambos behaves in this kind of way, and then you might know what to tweak to get it to be just as you want it. We have seen drivers in the past switching from a car that they liked over to a more popular car, like Gordon now have done with the McLaren. In the past, we have seen that where it hasn't paid off. So there's ups and downs for it all the time. But I would definitely say go for a car that you feel comfortable with first and foremost, every
Right.
time.
Absolutely. And we're looking now at Isaac Yen in the number 112 Fiercely Forward Lamborghini, a new entry into the series and a new livery that we haven't seen on track before, at least not to my memory, in AOR racing. And what a spectacular livery that is, with the lion just ahead of the rear end of the car. And, I mean, a strong run for Isaac in the 8th position, trying to chase down Thomas Saintat in the 192 BMW just ahead of him. Now riding on board with the Lamborghini, headed towards the bus stop. Doesn't seem like the slipstream is all too impactful there. Very gentle, it seems. Isaac is going into the bus stop there, let off the gas way early compared to what he could have been running completely on his own. But a train of about 4 or 5 cars there, led by the Audi not too far ahead. That is Michael Eden's, the V3 Racing Audi, currently leading the 105. So it's Lamborghini from Ferrari, I believe that is. From BMW, then Lamborghini, then BMW. So quite a nice variety up at the front of the field, as we see Mike Skeppers continue to work his lead out, going deep into turn 1 there. And you can see just how difficult it is on board the Lamborghini to see anything ahead of you when you're right behind that wide BMW. We always talk about how wide a butt that BMW has, how difficult it is to see. I mean, it's hard to even see your apex when you're riding too close behind them. And interesting, I'm not sure where it came from, but I did mention a little bit earlier, a little bit of damage to the front end of the BMW of Michael Eden's, or sorry, no, that's Dan Alpel. So a little bit of damage to the front end of that car. Not sure what caused that, but that could certainly have an impact on the performance of the V3 Racing 171. Not too far behind him, someone we haven't talked about very much, is the 150 of King Sap. He is running in the Lamborghini there. You can see him in that red and black livery from Lamas Racing. Let's talk a little bit about him. He's kind of had a few quiet runs so far at the beginning of the season, but, quiet and consistent, almost the MO that we see from Stefan Komke in the AM category, but still rather high up in the points compared to where you would expect someone to be at his pace level. So what he lacks in pace, he makes up for sure in overall finishes because of his consistency.
Yeah, it's so important to just be there at the end of the races to get those points. He has capitalized on some of the faster guys having issues, as we have seen today. A guy like Adam Flynn getting off track at the beginning, and also Hallowell. Those type of incidents that those guys are having. This is the type of race where he can just pounce and get those points. Because sometimes it can be really difficult to regain. If you're always on the chase after somebody that has points, or has more points than you, you sometimes overdrive and you make more mistakes because you need those points. And at the end of the day, you make bad decisions and crash out. So it's so important to get those points, as we can see this huge train, as we sometimes have on this particular track here at Daytona. You have these long straights, but everybody's running with so low downforce that it's really difficult to have the slipstream effect. So it ends up that nobody really has the slipstream effect at the end of the day. And you just kind of sit there, and sometimes when we have had in the past with pit stops, people just kind of fuel saved. But with this only being a sprint race, these drivers really need to get out there and put the foot down and need to start overtaking. But it's not as easy as you actually might think.
Right, for sure. And you look at some of the passing zones that we have on this track.
Ooh,
has something happened
what
here?
has happened here?
John Halliwell, we saw him going off at the beginning of the race. Looks like he's gone to the pit road. He was actually the first driver off track. Looked like cold tires caught him out at the very beginning coming through the kink. Has something happened to him here?
I can see. I have a few drivers who've been jumping into the pits with a lot of damage. I don't know if there's something wrong on the server, maybe a little bit. It looks like there's some kind of issue, definitely, because some of the drivers who have these, the cars are completely damaged, and I have not any I don't have any data for them being off track crashed, which I would get. I just get them being jumped back to the pits. So interesting to hear a little bit. I have Victor Matthias as well going back into the pits, being jumped into the pits.
Interesting.
So
I mean, it's showing their cars. iRacing is showing their cars right there in the pits.
Yeah.
So certainly something has happened there. Victor Matthias, it doesn't look like there's any damage on the car, so that is very interesting. We'll have to ask some of those drivers in between. We'll see if we could do a couple of... Oh, someone slid off completely. Was that Dan Alpel?
Alpel, completely way off.
Oh, completely missed. Oh, did he hit? Oh, he got lucky there. That could have been so much worse. He got lucky there, I think. Let's see if we can ride on board there, see what caused his car to go to lose control.
Let's see if we can just get here, Dan Alpel.
Oh, just hit the curb too hard on the inside. Looks like the car just was already biased. The weight had already shifted to the left-hand corner of the car, and it ended up just putting him in the wall. But the wheel looks to still be straight from my perspective, so he seems to have gotten away with that with minimal damage. But, I mean, he's going to have to make up a lot of time if he wants any sort of chance at picking up some decent points in this race.
Yeah, but if we keep on having, drivers completely going off here at the moment, we have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers. P2 in the AM classes, we have lost him as well. Right now, I'm just confused because I'm not getting these type of people are just being jumped back into the pits. And at the moment, Jamie Smith is P3 in the class. It just jumped a little bit about, and we have our Polish friend here. This is better known as Knop from AOR, one of the coordinators for Assetto Corsa. So he's not unknown, but I am not gonna try and pronounce that name.
Yeah,
he's just our Polish
not
friend.
worth it. Nope, he's our Polish friend.
Yeah, and he's at the moment, really under pressure from Alpol, and I think at this point you would just let him by and try and stay on his slipstream, because then Alpol is definitely on a mission right now. So he needs to get that. And yeah, my overlay is just completely going nuts over here. So
interesting. Maybe I'll take control of it then if it's freaking out too much. Yeah, because mine's running normally, so perhaps maybe it's a little bit of
Yours
internet.
is running smoothly. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I will take control of it then.
Okay, I'm gonna do this.
You just go to commentator mode, see if that'll fix it. Alright, so let's see if I now have control. Sorry for the little bit of technical difficulties coming there, so apologies for that. Let's see if we can grab control of it here, but I mean, regardless, there's been a lot of interesting events going on here for Daytona. I mean, it's known as one of the more simple or easy tracks to get around, but it seems like we're still having some pretty crazy issues for some of these drivers anyway. Trying to just take control here.
Remember to go into local mode.
That's what
well.
I am doing right now.
Oh, as this battle is really heating on, and who's that coming? That is Asher Bly going on the inside of our Polish friend and taking that position with a lot of force. He had so much more speed coming through chicane, and he's just overtaking Alpol as well. He's really having so much more speed in that McLaren right there.
Yeah.
But he's also really far down at the moment with his, misfortune early on in the race. So he needs to get up there because he's one of the drivers we know have more pace than what he's letting on at the moment.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, he's new to iRacing as a whole. We do know that, only joining within the last couple of months, but we've seen him have some, he made the change from the Mercedes to the McLaren, and I'll ask you this, Nick, what are the main differences? I mean, obviously you move the engine way back and just everything changes. So what exactly are the nuances, in your opinion, of that particular car?
The Mercedes is such an easy car to drive, and it's due to all of the front being, or all the weight being at the front. So it's a lot more understeery, and you can, attack the throttle and stuff like that a lot easier. The McLaren is really, really nimble. It's really fast, especially in the corners and stuff like that. But it's such a twitchy car, and if you make the smallest little mistake, you're just gonna be in the wall. So that's, for me, it's the difficulty of driving the cars, and also that the McLaren is a little bit more oversteery compared to the Mercedes.
Right, absolutely. And even having that engine located in the center of the car as opposed to being at the front in the Mercedes tends to be a little bit nicer on tires, in my experiences anyway. But that's been quite the interesting experience there, as I'm still trying to sort out a couple of little things with the overlay. So apologies for that. We're having a little bit of an adventure this week, haven't we, Nick?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's, yes, as I said when we actually, because we have had some issues before we even went live, I was like, this is gonna be a good one, and you're like, nah, everything is fine. And now we're sitting here and having a little bit of issues, but that's not gonna take any way away from the race itself. But I can see it right now. I'm right now looking at Daniel Weber in
right,
leading the class. We are now good, and now I can see this is a completely different feel for me. I have always been the guy controlling the overlay, and now you are here. So I'm just gonna, have a different hat on and say thank you for the comments that we have on YouTube. That we get that we have a great coverage, and just saying thank you for everybody watching, and just bear with us on this occasion with a little bit of a hiccup, as we are having a lot of side by side going on here, as we can see Asher still just pouncing his way through the field with.
I mean, look how much deeper he just lunges into the corner compared to the drivers around him.
Yeah, and Salonika is not a bad driver. He's really fast in his own right, but I don't think there's gonna go too. It's not gonna take him too long to get by here. And Asher, in my experience, is a little bit more of an aggressive driver. He's really late on his brakes, and if he sees an opportunity, he will go there. Because he's getting more and more comfortable with not only the car but also the game in general, and so I'm expecting him in a couple of races to be really up there, really at the front, as we're now on board with him here, coming out, and he's really close, and sometimes actually being that close is not a good thing, because now as soon as you see him going out of the slipstream, sometimes the car just loses so much pace, as we see them going side by side into the corner here. As you can see, he's just really wrestling the McLaren right there. It just, the back end is so unstable, and that is what I was alerting to before. The rear end of it is not planted, and some drivers really like having the rear end planted, and some drivers don't.
Right.
I think Asher is just Asher's a driver that you just give him a car and he will be on there, as we just jumped into a standing Lamborghini here.
Yeah, it said he went off track. He actually crashed, it seems. Let's see if we can find the incident.
Yeah, they are red in the...
looks like yet another victim of the kink. Hard impact there, and that'll be the end of his race.
I can't see that, but okay.
So a little bit of a tight battle here. Dan Alpel trying to make up some track position, trying to make up what he lost in his incident a little bit earlier. Actually, Asher making up a position on Dan after his troubles in the bus stops. That's what that pass was. A little bit further up the road is Daniel Weber, currently leading in the AM category in the Audi. So a strong performance from him. I believe this is actually his first race of the season, though he might have been here last week in Sebring. I do not know.
He was here last week. He was here last week as well, because I updated his skin last week. And
we've got a tight battle here for third and fourth on the track. That is the overall battle for third and fourth between Andy Gorton and Alvar Gomez. Audi versus McLaren. The McLaren has it. The Audi wants it. So Gomez from the XBD Racing Motorsport gonna actually take it easy going into turn one. Let's Andy get away a little bit here, but I think he's going to have the better exit coming out. And you can see just how strong that McLaren is in the center of the corner. The Audi and the McLaren not too dissimilar, though the Audi and the Lamborghini much closer sister cars in comparison. But the McLaren actually a little bit of an outdated car. That MP4 is by quite a few years. Hopefully iRacing will be releasing a new version of the car soon. I would hope so anyway, after the release of the McLaren, what is it, the 670S, the GT4 car. So that's been exciting, but Gomez still putting a ton of pressure on Andy Gorton. I think that's one of the closest battles we have on track here, though it looks like a little bit further back, that battle between Michael Edens and Verblan, one of the two. Anyway, from Radix Racing, he is doing a pretty good job in one of his first outings that we've seen him there in that lovely dark blue liveried Lamborghini, and not too much distance between himself and the cars around. As you see, weaving around a little bit behind there is the Frenchman, Thomas Saint-Tot from InRace Esports. His BMW
he's really
M4.
Having a...
that's a strong outing for him.
Strong race. Yeah, because he has... We have seen him before having some meh performances, But you know, P7 in the pro class, that's a really good result. Yeah, some drivers might have had issues, but he's up there. But the battle between Andy Gordon and Gomez is something that we have seen throughout the whole race. And yes, you alluded to that McLaren is that's an old car at this point. That's a grandfather car. Even the Audi is in the older spec. So definitely
As
some
opposed to the
cars that
Evo,
we
right?
need. Yes, yes, opposed to the Evo, but that's also, you know, we had a couple of years ago when every single manufacturer just posted an Evo version of their car. So you know, every car here is kind of outdated. Well, expect the Lambo and the BMW are the newest ones, but the rest of the GT3s are a little bit of the older models. So we do hope to see updates in the coming past. Ooh, as Webb is getting closer.
Well, that's Daniel Webber actually looking to make a pass on Evan Betts, so that's the leader in the AM category, actually trying to make up spots on a pro driver, and not too far behind is Marco Zelenika. Looks like he's going to try to slot in and do his best to try to actually take advantage of this pass. If he can slide through, that'll be a net position for him, moving from 12th up into 11th in category, and now under a minute remaining in the session, so this pass is going to be a big deal here. This is the end of the sprint race. We've hardly had time to really talk our way all the way through the field. Side by side going into the bus stop there. Evan Betts doing a strong job of holding off for position here. Looks like they'll get the white flag this time around if they haven't already. All the way up at
who's looking behind? Who's looking behind? There was Bly. Bly was definitely...
Oh, we have a spin!
Edens going off.
Edens has gone off.
Oh my goodness. Did you predict that? That was amazing, just swapping over to him as he just braked way too hard and too long, and the back end just left him.
And I mean, that was a top 5 finish that he's just lost now because of that mistake.
Oh, definitely, and he will be so angry with that. So angry.
Absolutely, and now looking at the front of the field, Mike Skeppers with a almost 6-second lead at Daytona, of all places, as he's about to come around and take the checkered flag in a few moments' time. Now coming onto the back stretch off of Speedway Turn 2, that McLaren is only as good as the driver who wields it, I should say, and Mike is among the best. But this is the battle for the podium in this race, still between Andy Gordon and Alves. That's Alvar Gomez, putting it together, haven't I? So Gomez trying to make a run at him. This is his last chance here. He stays tight behind Andy Gordon. Going to try to stay in the slipstream as much as possible, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think that gap is just way too much for him to be able to overcome as they come onto the front straightaway once again. Owen Blythe will come across the line here. Oh, and they're going to be side by side coming across the line. Is he close enough?
No.
Not quite.
Oh, by 54 thousandths of a second. But who's P5? Look at P5.
Yeah, we were talking about him earlier.
Wow.
Just a little bit of consistency. What a race for him that was at the end.
Oh, as we have a lot of battles coming side by side over the start-finish straight here at the end of the race.
Oh, and the wrecking come across the line. Oh, one car up into the air. That was quite the ending, wasn't it?
That Mercedes. That's the dead Mercedes.
That appears, and I think that is the end of the line for the Mercedes of Evan Betts, I believe that was.
Needs a new car and new paints after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming across the line here for 3rd and 4th in class. Not too far between our Polish friend and Jensen, who was putting a little bit of pressure on him, but a commanding finish, a commanding win by Daniel Webber up in the 12th position overall. So a strong finish from him as the last couple of drivers come across the line here, and we will take a look at our finishing results in just a moment once they get finalized here from iRacing.
Yeah, and what we have seen here, Daniel Weber for me is somebody who, looking at his performance, it's difficult to see here as you and I haven't been on Sebring, but it could be something that could be class difference there. So let's see what happens there.
Right, absolutely. And we're taking a look now at our finishing results. Skeppers, of course, taking the win in a commanding 6-second lead. 9 seconds then back to Andy Gorton and Alvar Gomez. It was only 7/1000ths of a second, the difference between those two drivers coming across the line, and a tenth of a second between 5th and 6th place. That was the battle between Saintat and Varblan. And a little bit further down, see what other... Actually, 11th, 12th, and 13th, only a second between the three of those cars. That was Evan Betts, Daniel Weber, and Marco Zelenica. We talked about those coming towards the end of the race. And Jamie Smith, 18th overall, with his second place finish in the AM category. We'll take a look now. Let's see. Yep. Gowrie. That was David Gowrie, who finished last position on the podium in AM category. And a couple of our DNFs, Victor Mateos, did not finish the race, unfortunately. Neither did Stefan Komke, Chris Yardley, John Hallowell, Twan Van Beld, Silver Tam, Adam Flynn, Merlin Cooper, and Ryan G. McIntosh. I don't think he actually started the race. We saw him actually go... he was in practice, but interestingly enough, does not appear that he finished the race.
And those are some strong names that has been crashed out there. That's a heavy list of drivers, at least from the past, who's been up there. So that could have huge implications of the championship. During this season. But that's a interesting sprint race that we have had here at the beginning. Now we're just looking ahead because we need to have a little bit of a break until we can get on to the new server where we will have a feature race. So we are interested to see what is gonna happen in the next race. So please be hang on with us for that.
Yeah, gonna see if we can actually grab like one or two interviews.
Oh yeah, let's do that
before we switch over to the other session. I'm seeing if we can grab John Hallowell. That is the question. And actually, I think we've confirmed that we will have a reverse grid race for the next session.
Oh yes, that's gonna be so good.
That is going to be spicy, is it not?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, looks like John has agreed to come into the box with us for an interview. So with us in the commentary box, after a little bit of a tough race, John Hallowell. John, just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. What happened on lap 1, and what caused that McLaren to jump out on you?
Cold tires. It's a twitchy car at the best of times. I got a good start, and I knew Owen probably had a few tenths on me, so I was happy to let him take second place back around the outside. And then Andy raced me really, really hard into the hairpin, and he's a good friend of mine. So I thought I didn't want, obviously I'm racing with V3 now. I didn't want to let him by, and I was just slightly offline into the kink. And I think to take the kink flat out in the McLaren on lap 1, you need to have the full line, and my brain just didn't work there.
Well, it's been a tough start to the night for you. How do you see the rest of your night going with this reverse grid coming up?
I don't know. I know Kiefer had a bad race too, so he's not going to be starting so far behind, and he's generally a little bit quicker than me. I don't know. I've played around with a few settings on my VR just to try and give me a bit more field of view, and it's just giving me a few frame rate drops at certain places on the track, which I don't know if is affecting my pace a little bit tonight. I just thought I'd get an excuse in there in case, I drop it again. But yeah, no, it'll be fun. Be interesting to see how far through the field Mike and Owen get.
Absolutely, and being at the front of the field because of your misfortune at the beginning, what's your strategy? You going to try to stretch your gap as much as possible to get as far away as possible from the hard charging Mike and Owen, or do you think that the strategy is kind of to take care of the car and take care of those tires?
I mean, obviously, I need to take care of the car and the tires to quite a large extent. It really depends who's around me. Yeah, my plan is to maybe not quite go full throttle through the kink this time on lap 1, and just ease into it, drive as quickly as I can, not worry about fuel until I see what the situation is around me. If I was to be edging away, then yeah, I'd just go full throttle. I'd just go for it. It really depends who's around me. If there's some other quick cars and somebody decides they want to pass, I may let them and then fuel save. It really depends on who I have around me.
Alrighty, well, thank you for joining us in the box, and we wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
So, Nick, what were your thoughts there? And if you were in John's shoes, starting at the front of the pack for this next race, what would you do?
I would go flat out. He has now the opportunity to really get a bit of a gap between himself and the rest of the pack, because he knows that some of his big rivals are gonna be at the tail end of the pro class, so he needs to get that gap, and then he can slowly go a little bit off pace if he's worried about fuel. But that is what I would do. Also, this is one of his opportunities to actually get a win this season. With Shepard's being so strong, they need to take all the opportunities that they can, and he's a real race driver. Getting the excuses in there at the beginning. So.
Right, absolutely. And just one more interview before we take a break and wait for our next session. Now joining us in the box, Stefan Konke, who will be starting from the front of the AM field after a little bit of an unfortunate sprint race. Stefan, give us a little bit of a rundown of how your sprint race went.
Actually, I should be P2. Merlin died before me.
Well, in the front row.
Front row, yeah, I take that. Lap 1 or 2, I'm not sure. I avoided some incident in the bus stop, gave me a 3-second slowdown, which was fun. And then shortly after, I died overtaking another car from the, grass or asphalt or sand or whatever it is on the pit wall. That spun me into the wall.
So starting at
so fun times.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, because we saw, I saw just a lot of cars going into the pits. We didn't receive the data that you guys crashed, so I was just more concerned if there were any issues on server or if it was just on our end.
Well, if I can blame the server, I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay, well, there were a crash because then we saw quite a few cars crash actually.
Yeah, it was quite hectic.
Well, it's been...
Off to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to thank you for joining us up at the box and wish you the best of luck for the next race.
Cheers.
Well, as we get ready to head into our next session, we'll ask that you have a little bit of patience. Wait patiently with us for the next race to start. We'll take a little bit of break here up at the commentary booth and join you just shortly once we're into the feature race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the feature race of the Apex Online Racing's third round here at Daytona. So we got a little bit more information in our little break period. So we are going to go through our grid. This is going to be interesting simply because of the fact that so DNF finishers do not get to go to the front of the field. So John Hallowell, who unfortunately did not finish the race on track, will not be our pole sitter, but rather it will be Isaac Yen from Fiercely Forward who will take the pole for the feature race, followed by Andy Gorton, then Owen Blythe and Mike Skeppers in third and fourth, Kiefer McKenna, then Alvar Gomez, followed by Michael Edens, Thomas Saintot, John Hallowell, Stephen Broomfield, Rasmus Varblan, and Dan Alpel. That's your top 12. Then Silver Tam, Marvin Sluman, Merlin Cooper up into 16th. Then Michael Kinsep, Adam Flynn, Chris Yardley, Marco Zelenica, Asher Blythe, Evan Betts, Daniel, as well as Victor Mateos, Stefan Komke, and then we have David Van Abel, Pierre Thompson, Jamie Smith, David Gowrie, Andres Ansu, Yost Daniel. I am really confused as to what is happening.
What is going on? We have drivers going completely way off here. What is going on?
Evan Betts just drove to the front of the field and took the lead. What just happened?
We are really confused here. I'm sorry if you in the back are confused, but we are as well. Oh,
and there's a huge wreck.
Huge crash. Michael Edens was involved here. What just happened for Michael Edens as he got hit by...
Oh, absolutely run over by Thomas. Absolutely run over.
Oh, that's a huge hit
and
behind him.
And then just collateral damage behind, yeah. And he's reset already.
Oh my goodness, that was a huge incident at the beginning of the race. Let's see if we can get it here. But yeah, Evan Betts is at the moment our leader, and I see
Andy Gordon diving to the inside. Owen
together
Blythe
with
follows
Owen
him
Blythe.
through. Yep, so they have both gone through.
And
Now
Skeppers as
Skeppers
well.
also. Is Isaac just letting them by? Is he just let them all by?
It might be, yeah. We might have this situation where some drivers are not as comfortable, but that doesn't really make any sense for me. But yeah, Isaac is really losing positions here, and Mike is really up there as well.
Well,
right here to
Owen is now gone to the point of that pack. He's made it past Andy Gorton, so that's actually going to be interesting because Owen is going to have to hold off Mike Skeppers if he wants a chance at winning this race. We're looking on board here, and now we're following Owen. Evan's still leading the pack. Mike has now made the pass on Andy Gorton, so that is the third position already for Mike Skeppers on the first lap, and now he's already going to look to make a move here. Blocks the move from Andy Gorton coming to the outside, and now he's on the outside of his teammate. That is Owen Blythe to the inside. Goes wide, does Mike Skeppers, and the second McLaren, Andy Gorton, will take the position back, so he now has that track position in his favor. Alvar Gomez trying to take advantage there, and a mistake from Owen Blythe. He's gone wide in the first horseshoe, and he lets Andy Gorton go now to the inside. That's going to be interesting. And they do get single file, just barely coming into the kink, where definitely don't want to be going side by side there. Oh, so close between them. Hardly a piece of paper's width between the front end of Skeppers and the rear end of Blythe there. As Alvar Gomez trying to get involved in this battle. He's going to put his Audi right on the rear bumper of Mike Skeppers. They're going to try to make up a position. We ride on board with him as we see they've not been able to make much of any progress on Evan Betts. You know what I think they might be doing is I think that Owen has let Andy Gorton go by because he wants to fuel save there. That's the only thing I can think of, but I think that they're not going to have to make a pit stop. Weaving back and forth is Owen Blythe. This is, I really don't know what's going on here. Owen Blythe weaving back and forth, barely any distance between them. You can see riding on board with Gomez just how difficult it is to see ahead as Owen Blythe trying to make a move to the outside and will have the help of his teammate. Oh, and just dumped is Michael Kinsett. Looks like he's been taken out by Asher Blythe. Let's see if we can watch that from Blythe's perspective. Let's see if we can watch that replay once again from the nose of Blythe.
Yeah, we'll just see his lids up here. Oh, he's getting hit as well.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a sandwich pile there. Let's see if we can see from the outside.
Let's see if we can get it. Oh,
He just
that's a huge
turned
mistake.
left. Was that netcode? You
No,
gotta try and go a little bit further back.
God, no, it's Broomfield. Broomfield just completely missed
Broomfield
his,
dumped him.
breaking point and just took out 3 other guys right there. That was a huge incident between those drivers right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Looked like he misjudged it.
Ooh,
Now,
we had
little bit further
a...
Blythe is side by side now with that is Adam Flynn. Flynn goes for the cutback to the inside. I'm not sure how Blythe is still driving with how much damage there is on that McLaren. But still giving Adam a run for his money is Asher Blythe. Adam going to take the inside line here, goes deep into the corner. Oh, contact there between teammates. A little bit of a lick to the rear end of the Ferrari from Asher Blythe, but I'm sure Asher doesn't much care what his car looks like at this point. Now Stefan Komke deep into the corner. Did he get hit? Oh, just a spin.
loses
Got
it
hard under the
and,
throttle there. And has Alvar Gomez had some sort of an issue? Has he fallen back? I saw him in the picture there for just a moment. I don't know if that was near the leaders or not. Can we see where Alvar is on track right now?
If I can get my thing here to be there. Alvar is at the moment P12.
Yeah, so it looks like he had some sort of mistake that lost him positions. Looks like damage to the right front of that car. Not sure exactly what happened as he moves to the outside to try to make a move on Stephen Broomfield here. Let's see if he'll be able to make the move going into the bus stop. Or actually, that's not going into the bus stop. That's going into turn 1. Broomfield just yields the position. Not going to fight that. As Pierre Thompson now leads our AM category. Jamie Smith in second position, about 1.6 back. Looks like we had a slow car there to the side. Maybe one of the V3 Racing cars a little bit further up ahead as Jamie Smith battling for position. That's the battle for third Second and third in the AMP category.
Ooh,
Looks like somebody's off.
We had a BMW off.
Oh, and I hear contact. Oh, and a huge
that's a
pile
lot
up.
of contract.
A huge pile up there. What has gone on? What is going on with these drivers?
I have no idea.
Looks like Dan Apple. That was Dan Apple. He had been slow, I think, coming through turn 1 that time. Let's see if we can find him.
Pierre Thompson. Pierre Thompson here. Oh, well,
no, it was Alpol. It was Alpol. Yeah,
is he taking this on? Oh, that's a huge crash.
Let's see if we can take a look at Let's see if we can take a look on board with Alpol through that.
Let's see if we can get it here. So copy it. He's just losing it there, but he has already had a damaged car, and at this point, he's just a passenger. Oh, that's Broomfield. Oh, that's
It's
huge
so disappointing to see how horrible the iRacing grass is that he just slid through there. He was downshifting and on the brakes, and still plows through. Now looks like our Polish friend kind of made it through this. Oh, a little bit of damage to the rear end, but I think he'll actually make it through that rather cleanly in comparison. Let's see if we can look to the front of the field. Is Evan Betts still in the lead? I can't imagine he has been for very long.
I'm just seeing if I can get this to be on here. At the moment, I'm having Hallowell. Hallowell is leading. What is going on in this race?
Where did he come from?
Everything is just going up and down as we are trying to watch cars crash, and it's Gordon.
But Skeppers and Blythe are back in 6th and 7th. What's happened there?
We have missed something completely. We are trying, ladies and gentlemen, but everything is just going all the way up and down. I think Skeppers and Gomez might have had a bit of an issue, to be honest. They might have hit each other or something.
Well,
That's
is there damage to the left rear of the McLaren? Yeah, it looks like damage to the left rear of the McLaren, which would make sense given the left front damage to Gomez's car. That kind of matches up, doesn't it? Potentially a little bit of contact between the two of them.
As we have Salonika has been off, and what has happened here? Ooh, is that the grass as well, or he's?
Well, it looks like he just missed the corner. Just missed it.
Oh, and then just grass, and then you're way off.
Yeah, once you're off, you're off. So Alvar Gomez goes from challenging for a podium spot to all the way back in 9th. Owen Blythe in 6th here in the 178. Looks like a little bit of damage maybe to the rear end of that car, but it looks mostly clean. So really not sure why he's fallen back from what was 2nd position in the race all the way back. Now Andy Gorton and John Hallowell going at it for the overall lead. Looks like Hallowell going to take it rather easily around the outside there. John Hallowell just kind of lets him go. Now Var Blaine in the final of the podium positions. He's going to try to put pressure on John Hallowell for that position. So it's McLaren, Lamborghini. 2 teammates actually there in the Lamborghinis. Tam and Verblaine both hailing from Estonia in the Radix Racing cars. Just behind there then is Kiefer McKenna, who really has come out of nowhere. We've not talked about him at all in this broadcast, have we? He didn't have a good start in the sprint race, and now all the way up into 5th position. We would expect him to be fighting for podiums with his teammates, but not sure what's gone on there. Looking at Alvar Gomez now. Has he had an issue? Oh, just misses the corner. Absolutely punts that car. He missed the corner and totally punted Isaac Yen just ahead of him.
That looked weird. That looked so odd, and he's just... Oh, I see what is going on here. Isaac Yen is trying to let Gomez take the inside.
Yeah, it looked like maybe he was trying to let him go, and Gomez just didn't anticipate it.
If we look here, stay focused on his rear lights. He's braking there, and then he's braking again. So he's just trying, and
then he even turns to the left at the last second when he notices Gomez doesn't know what's going on. He turns to the left a little bit at the last second to try to get out of the way, and it doesn't seem like it was enough. It looks like Hallowell's gone to the pits. What is happening? And Mike Skeppers is now back into 2nd. He was in 7th. He's now moved up into 2nd position. What is happening?
Everybody here. Oh, Hallowell is trying to go in. Oh, he's just having a little bit too much curb, and then he goes way off track.
Yeah, but why did he reset? What was the purpose of resetting?
no idea. We also have an issue for Michael Edens as well. Oh my goodness, these drivers are not having great second race. Everything is just going, and he's going off as well.
He's just stopping. What is happening?
I've no idea. I Victor Mateus as well. I'm just having.
Have they maybe decided that was the grid wrong at the beginning and they tried to correct it and now everybody's just trying to stop and get out?
Yeah. I think there's something going on. Definitely. Sorry for the inconvenience, ladies and gentlemen. We are just
very confused.
Yeah. There's a new session. There's a new session up. I can see here in the chat. Unfortunately, we haven't been alerted to this before now.
Yeah, I don't know what the start of that race was. If we had determined that.
No, that's
right.
something.
So Marvin has said in chat the grid was incorrect. So I guess they were just racing. Maybe that's why they were racing so crazy. Maybe that's why everybody was kind of going mad, was because they were just trying to, I don't know, figure out what the heck was going on. It looks like this session will be going down. We'll have to move to another session as my overlay is absolutely freaking out.
This is going great.
Yeah, we're having a great time. We thank you, ladies and gentlemen, on the stream for bearing with us. We're gonna have to take another short break here to switch sessions once again. But that was interesting to say the least.
We were definitely commentating that like that was a real race, but apparently it really wasn't.
That was fun and exciting, huh?
Yeah, we have. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea what just happened right there. It seems like the grid that was supposed to be there was wrong, and therefore the drivers just did not really drive at all. We have no idea what happened there, but we should be back into the correct session in a moment. So please be with us there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. It seems we've sorted out the issues that we were having before. Looked like we had an incorrect starting grid, so had to go back to the very beginning and restart the session. Luckily, back in it now. So the correct grid at the top of the field is Isaac Yen, followed by Dan Alpel, then Kiefer McKenna, Asher Blythe on the outside of the top row, then then Zenalika, Betts, Sluman, and Brumfield, then Verblon and Mikkel Kinsep. That is your top 10 in the pro category. Then the AMs, we will kind of talk about as we go here, getting ready to take the green flag as Isaac Yen already steps on the loud pedal, gets a good jump out in front here. A little bit of a rush back into the race here, as that fiercely forward car already with a big gap side by side for second position. Dan Alpel staying around the outside, gets a little bit of a break, I should say, there from Asher Blythe. His teammate lets him in, so that's three V3 racing cars trying to chase down the fiercely forward Lamborghini. Oh, already looking on the outside, aggressive move from Asher Blythe there. Looks like a little bit of a hectic start here from the back. Andy Gorton, a little bit of a moment off the track there for him, but he makes it back onto the track cleanly without any issue. Through the kink cleanly this time. Doesn't seem we've had any issues as of yet, but a huge cluster of cars here, all in a freight train trying to scramble for positions. Andy Gorton currently just ahead of his closest competitors. Oh, and he goes to the inside now of Owen Blythe, who goes wide, re-entering the oval here. They'll go back onto oval turn 1 into turn 2. So that car already losing spots. He's going the wrong direction if he wants to be getting as far forward as possible at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, definitely. And, the driver to really be keeping an eye on here is, Gordon, and Shepard. How are these two going to do this, getting up through the field? But the amps, I think, could be really, really interesting as well. See what could be going on here, as I'm having issues again a little bit with some of my things. I might know why the reason is, but it's not something I can do anything about right now.
I'll take control back quick then. All right, keep it easy.
Yeah.
I'll take control back. No big deal. Some stuff we gotta work out here, so apologies for all the craziness we've had in this stream so far, but we appreciate your patience with us. As we see a move here for positions at Daniel Vanderlinde going to the inside of the 251. He takes that position, so the Canadian makes up a spot on the Estonian driver. Now our leader in the class, Ababel, currently up front here trying to make a move on one of the Hyperion Lamborghinis. I think that's Chris Yardley he's trying to make a move on here. Victor Mateos not too far up the track from there, so a very close battle here right now in the AM category. We'll take a look and see what we've got going on at the front of the field. Kiefer McKenna has taken the point here, trying to run away as fast as possible. Is Don't Look Now, but in that mirror, not too far back, is that train. Andy Gordon, Owen Blythe, and Mike Skepper's trying to make the move. Asher Blythe now goes to the inside of the fiercely forward car, so that is Isaac Yen now minus 3 spots from his starting position. He goes through, so that's currently a V3 Racing 1-2-3.
Yeah, and we see here again that the Jan is having a little bit of the same as we saw at the first race, where he's just falling down a little bit, and it's odd to me that because he's not a slow driver, and especially when we look at his iRating, he's one of the highest iRated drivers, but that's just shows that high iRating and doesn't translate to what you're really driving in. You can have a high iRating but driving slow cars. As he's losing another 2 positions right there to and who's that going by? That was Evan Bitts and Stephen Broomfield just going by there as well. So he's really losing a lot of positions here, as we keep on seeing drivers just really going on the inside and diving down, as Gordon just trying to explore a little bit of the off tracks. Remember to have the basket with you with some fine wine and cheese when you're going off-road like that. Have a nice picnic out there, Gordon. He really needs to pick up the paces. We have a driver off track here. Is Joost. I don't know what is going on here. He's just
it said that he had an incident here, went off track.
Oh, you should go on the went off track and not take the first one above.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that seems to be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That does not seem to be the right place to be there.
No, he took my advice there, had the good cheese, fine wine, picnic up there.
Picnic in the infield, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And well, you are in the States, so you probably should have some hot dogs or burger and Budweiser or something like that. But
Right.
whatever rocks your boat.
Yeah, exactly. So less than a second currently between first and second, and just another second between them back to Jensen in third place. So that's the Canadian, followed by the Belgian flag? Yes. So our Belgian driver, and then Denmark represented in the third position there. Looks like we've had a little bit of a change for position, a battle here between Broomfield and Varblan, or actually that's Betts that he's been swapping positions with, going back and forth here. This train is going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. Asher Blythe currently holding his spot in the third position, so that's V3 Racing 1, 2, 3, 4 currently at the point of the field. Let's have a little bit of an update here to see the progress of... where's it gone? An issue for Andy Gorton. Andy Gorton has fallen all the way back. I'm not sure exactly what happened.
Yeah, apparently he has had a crash. Let's just take a look at that. Oh, Joost have crashed as well.
There it is.
Gordon here. Let's see what's happened to Gordon. Oh, he's just trying to brake on the outside. Just caught in there in front of the field.
Let's see if we can see that once more from the outside. Maybe one of those cars from behind making a move. He was really
see what he's doing here.
Oh,
yeah,
he's
really and that's the thing. The guy on the inside had no way to avoid that crash there. So that right there is definitely on Gordon being a little bit too over aggressive. He didn't need to turn in there, and who was that? That was Thomas Santo that he drove on a little bit too fast, I think.
Yeah, I think another part of the issue there. I mean, we saw how many aggressive moves Andy was making, so he was trying to get as much of an advantage over Owen and.
Ooh, as we had a crash before.
Crash
right in front of. That was Flynn just taking out Thomas Santo when they went into the King Cage. We just see it from the outside. See right there, Flynn going in, and Thomas doesn't see him at all. Did not see him at all. And that's a hard hit into the wall, and I think that is race over for our Frenchman right there.
So we have had a pass for position here. Asher Blythe taking away 4th position from Evan Betts, his teammate there. So they've been going back and forth rather aggressively there.
Because we saw last lap that he was in front of.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if we can take a look at
Mike
the
is
progress
back up to P10.
Yeah, up to P10, but Owen Blythe has actually gapped him a little bit here. We see Isaac Yen already. He's down 6 positions from where he started. As you can see, if you look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen, the green 7 for Owen Blythe, representing 7 positions gained since the start of the race. Down 7 now for Yen, and up 8 for Owen Blythe as he makes his way into the 7th position. He's now gapping Mike Skeppers, so he's had a little bit of a better time through the traffic here. We'll see if he's able to get through the field fast enough to try to catch Kiefer McKenna. McKenna already with a pretty big gap, about half a second to his teammate Dan Alpo, who we saw have a little bit of a lackluster race, a little bit lackluster performance in the sprint race earlier tonight. Now Evan Betts and Asher Blythe still going at it for position between the two of them. Evan has just taken it coming down the straight, and then we'll see if Asher is able to make a move back to the inside a little bit later on in the corner. Oh, and we've had another crash.
We have a crash.
You can see a lot of craziness going on ahead of him here. Oh, and it looks like he
that's just too much speed.
Yeah, you could hear it. You could hear it as he entered. The rear tires just scraping. And not too happy there, was it?
No, but a really, really nice rejoin, though. You know, getting the car out of harm's way fast, and then just, you know, reversing away from harm's way and then slowly back onto the track in a safe manner. So nice to see the cars actually having, or the drivers having a little bit of sanity out there. As we see a change for position up there, with Asher actually going on the inside and taking that position.
As soon as I look
away. Well, that is Asher for you, you know, making those amazing things when we are not there. And now when we are watching him, he's probably going to crash. I have commentator cursed him right now. But interesting to see these two drivers really pushing each other this much, as they are slowly losing the contact to Alpol and McKenna up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And unless they can kind of get in the draft with one another and work together, they're even going to let Broomfield get in the middle of this battle, as he will follow Betts to the outside, going to try to make it 3 wide for position. This is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all in a line. Broomfield, and he's wrecked him! Ooh. He's wrecked Evan Betts! Tried to go 3 wide and has absolutely dumped Evan Betts here. Oh, man. Looks like he kind of gave him room, maybe squeezed Broomfield a little bit, but, I mean, absolutely dumped. Oh. We'll take a look one more time from the TV cam.
There's no...
Looks like Broomfield turned in, Not enough room.
Yeah, but no, and Evan is not looking at his outside. He's looking towards the apex. And is not looking at the outside, so that was just, that one for me was on Broomfield. He should not have been there.
3 wide going into turn 1 with only 12 minutes, well, at that time, only 10-11 minutes elapsed of a 50-minute race. Definitely not a necessary move, in my opinion.
No, definitely not.
So now we look back to the lead of the race. That's Kiefer McKenna currently leading it, as he continues to work together with Dan Alpol. Dan just kind of being smart, chilling behind Kiefer here, the Irishman leading the pack. Let's see the progress here. This is going to be interesting. Brother versus brother. Owen Blythe quickly trying to close up on Asher Blythe. Half a second of the gap between the two of them. Mike Skeppers, though, has not yet been able to make the pass on Alvar Gomez or Isaac Yen. Interestingly enough, Owen was able to get them a few laps ago, but Mike seems to just be relaxing where he's at. He doesn't seem to have quite the pace he had in the sprint race earlier on. Maybe that car not quite as good in traffic as it was out in the lead of the pack.
And that is one of the things. Oh, as we had a little bit of contact there with Alves. Mike just getting a bit close. And I was actually talking. Oh, as we have a crash again. That is Broomfield. Broomfield way off the track there. Let's see what just happened with Broomfield.
Oh, and he's just crashed into
loses it.
Asher.
Oh, and Asher's way off as well there. And again.
And more contact once again. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that was hard. But if we go back and look at the the
Let's
thing.
see if we can look at it from his. Oh, and
he
just
clips the grass. He just lost it on the grass there.
Driving a little bit out of his. Oh, just
Comfort
over
zone.
driving. Yep.
Yeah. But the thing with Shippers that was talking with him about is actually he was a little bit afraid of the reverse grid races because he could not just be out there in the lead and just go with it. He was
had another rack.
No, he just stops here.
Oh, I see.
Just think, the car is dead. But the thing is that the McLaren, is so difficult to race with. It's so difficult to push, because when it's right there on the limit as you need to be when you're fighting for these positions, it is a diva. It is really difficult. But when he can be out there in front of everybody else, he can be there at his own pace and doesn't have to overdrive it, as we see a new leader in the AM class.
Yep, so that is Ababel, who has taken the lead now from Van der Linde. So the Belgian driver now takes his Belgian waffles to the field. The 281 still under pressure, though, from the Lamborghini. Those sister cars, the Audi and the Lamborghini, not getting too far away from one another. As you can see here, that's actually 3-4 cars under a blanket, as Mads Jensen not too far behind, and Jamie Smith as well, right in the thick of it. Merlin Cooper, who has had a really tough start to the weekend, hasn't he? Currently in the 5th spot. He had a really strong outing, didn't he, at Watkins Glen, but just does not seem to have had any sort of good luck whatsoever in the weeks since, as he continues to try to make up some spots, maybe put himself in position for a late move later on in the race. And I think we've actually... Have we lost Andy, have we? Oh no, Andy's actually gone all the way up into 11th position, so he was originally running with the likes of Adam Flynn, but he's made his way up here now, battling back and forth with Stephen Broomfield, it seems. And actually, this is going to be...
The warrior of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because Evan Betts is not too far behind. You can see Stephen Broomfield, I'm sure. I'll take a look from his perspective here. He's actually been overtaken just now by Chris Yardley, but we'll go on board here.
Yeah, you need to be on the camera.
Straight line he is.
Yeah.
Just so slow in a straight line after that damage to the front end, but you can see Broomfield ahead of him here. We'll see if Andy Gorton is able to give him any sort of move here. I don't think Andy really has any damage to that car. A little bit of a crunch to the right front fender, but I don't think other than that he's had much of any damage to his McLaren. So let's see if he's able to make up some more spots here. Definitely going to be in recovery mode to try to recover as many points as he can.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he's... Well, it looks a bit weird because, Broomfield is definitely... has been in his fair share of battles here, so that car is not completely straight, and I would think that Gordon would definitely be a man to just be out there getting fights out there. But I'm getting a question of what the lap time average for the top 3, what they're doing. I'm actually not sure that we have that information at hand.
We do actually.
We do have that.
They are running 1 minute 44.4 is their average best lap time between the 3 of them. A 44.67 for Kiefer McKenna at the front, a 44.49 for Dan Alpel, and a 1 minute 44.2 for Owen Blythe. He has the fastest of that group, and actually the fastest lap time on track that last lap around was from Owen Blythe, though he seems to be under pressure here from Alvar Gomez, giving him a little bit of a run for his money on the outside of the track, and Isaac Yen being very sensible. We saw him lose a bunch of spots towards the beginning of the race, but he's now made up 4 positions from where he was, and now is in behind his fellow Lamborghini, and the Audi takes the position. What a great move from Alvaro Gomez, and just great racecraft. I mean, we've seen since he came in at the first race at Watkins Glen, just, might not have the outright pace that you see from Mike Skeppers, but certainly no shortage of smart, clean racing from the Spaniard.
No, and the thing is also, at the moment, he's really doing what Mike seems to not being able to, getting through the field. And these are the races that can, he might not be able to fight Mike on pure pace in the championship, but these races he can really make Mike fight for it. So, this championship might not be as cut and dry as we thought, and he's a driver that has really come into his own and is up there at the front. But I just want to go back to, as we see Owen getting closer and closer here, to the question before. What we just said to you guys before were the best laps and not the average lap. We don't have average laps, but they are in the mid 44s for the top guys.
I did do it in my brain a little bit. I kind of did a little mental math there.
Yeah, but it's you. You are American, so that's the thing. Can we rely on it? No. As this is a really nice and close battle, and Isaac Jan looks to be with this battle, actually, as we see Chris Yardley going into the pits. Apparently, Yardley has gone into the pits.
Yeah, not sure why. I mean, he was in a solid position there up in the top 15 or so. As he continues to fall back, I think Michael Edens is also entered the pit lane.
Gordon as well.
Yeah, so not sure what's happened there. A couple of drivers pulling off into the pit lane. So we're going to take a look and see what's happened there.
Now, you might be a bit more familiar with this. Maybe have talked a little bit with the guys, but are they able to go a full distance on one tank of fuel with a 50-minute race?
It's gonna be close because I think we're running at a 60% fuel tank. Normally, a full load of fuel for these GT3s, where you'll get to just over or just under an hour, give or take a few minutes. Whereas at 60% of the fuel tank, I'm thinking they might just be short here. So it could be some pit strategy we're seeing here. Not quite able to make it the full distance, but we'll have to see. We're going to have to play it by ear to see whether or not they're going to make it to the end on this just one tank of fuel. And that could be what Mike Skeppers is doing. He's been far less aggressive in his driving compared to Owen Blythe. Perhaps he's trying to save fuel to maximize that fuel tank as far as he possibly can.
Exactly, and that's where strategy comes into play. As we see Hallowell getting off, we just saw the tail end of that incident right there. See if we can find it right there.
Did he jump or was he pushed?
Well, he just lost it.
Just lost it. He lost it. Coming off of the bus stop there. So an unfortunate weekend for him. We had high hopes for him in this second race, and unfortunately...
Once again, he goes completely off.
Yeah, just completely lost the car. So maybe that's just something of a feature, I guess, of the,
but that's the thing,
the McLaren.
Yeah, the divanness of the McLaren, as we have been talking about before, but Hallowell also seems to just lose all of his courage, just going off, saying, "Yeah, well, that was it, mate," and goes off. So, yeah, that's a lot of points going away from Hallowell. But as we're watching up here, Isaac Jan still in this battle, and Shepard's still not able to do anything about these guys up here. So.
Yeah, I think he's just biding his time. I think he absolutely has the pace to be past these cars right now. Yeah. I think he's just biding his time.
It could be, you know, we could hopefully, you know, but and hopefully not, you know. I would like to see him be back there to get the others. Yeah, let's hear Jan here. Oh, he's lifting.
He's in the clutch. He's in the clutch. You can hear.
He's in the clutch.
He was in the clutch, so he's saving fuel. They're not going to make it to the end, are they?
I don't think so.
This could be. And you know what? You know who the big loser in all that is Kiefer McKenna. He has nobody to draft with right now.
That's true. That's true. Well, kind of. There is bump drafting, but Alpol is too far behind for that to be happening.
Because we've had a pass per position here on Stefan Komke, and it looks like they've actually gone from racing for position. There was the pass there, and then they both crashed.
Bit of netcode and a bit of contact, and that's...
Oh, man.
That only ended in tears. Yeah.
And only... What? We're only 23 minutes into the race? We're not even quite halfway.
No.
As you see, Eyes again, he's fallen off the back of Blythe here a little bit.
This is AOR, last man standing. They are just really having issues out there, but that's the thing with Daytona, you know. When you look at it on paper, it's a really easy track, but in reality, it isn't. It's difficult because there are difficult bumps out there, and also when you set up your car for the oval, you know, the top speed. But when you do that, you have a car with little to no downforce on it, and in some of these corners you're just gonna, if you make this, you know, smallest mistake, you're just gonna lose it completely. And that's what we are seeing at the moment, that drivers are just having to be fast, have a setup that is so, you know, twitchy and uncomfortable to drive with, that is really difficult for them to do anything with it. And they have to overdrive to battle as well. So that could be interesting to see if we, you know, keep more drivers, or if everybody's gonna, you know, go completely out, as we have 2 drivers in the pit.
Made their way through the pit lane. Let's take a look here at some of the battles for position. This seems to be the closest battle, all the way from 3rd place all the way into 7th. They're all right under a blanket there, aren't they? Hardly any distance between that whole group. You can see them all here from the Goodyear blimp up above the speedway.
But that's the thing, you know, when we talk about Mike, you know, biding his time, you know, he is at the moment losing a huge amount of time up to Dan Alpol and Kiefer, because they're just, you know, going out up there. If you try to put it instead of interval, just put it at gaps, so we can actually look at that gap, because that's a huge gap.
Yeah, let's take a look
at this point.
Grab that. Yep.
7.4 seconds. I know that he's fast, but that's gonna be difficult for him to catch.
Right, absolutely. But the question is going to be whether or not the speed is there in the McLaren, because I mean, it's tough to drive when you're trying to drive it on the limit like that. As we see, it looks like Michael Kinsett has made his way into the pit lane, so yet another victim there. Now, let's see if we can...
But one thing is to catch, but another thing is to pass.
Exactly.
If you use all your tires to get up there and have to, you know, you also need a bit of tire to actually overtake, to quote the late great Mary Walker.
Right, absolutely. So now we're going to see whether or not Mike... Let's ride on board with Mike a little bit, see how he's driving that car. I have to imagine that he's been letting off the gas, perhaps even using the clutch here as they come around into Speedway Turn 2, on the exit of Speedway Turn 2 towards the bus stop. You can see how dirty that windshield is on the front of the 196, and yeah, he's in the clutch. Quite a bit, actually, so saving a lot of fuel. The question is whether or not that's going to be enough fuel saving for them to make it to the end, because I'd imagine if they knew that they had to finish that tank of fuel, I would imagine they wouldn't even bother to save fuel, so they must think that there's at least some slight chance that they can make it to the end on this tank of fuel, as Skepper is going to move to the outside. Will he make the move here on the Lamborghini?
Oh, he doesn't look to have the top speed. He doesn't look to have the top speed in that car.
And he's in the clutch immediately. He knows he couldn't make the move. He gets into the clutch. And whips it around the outside, doesn't he?
And that's the thing that might be the issue with Mike, as you know, we have alluded to, that to get that car to be as good as it is on track, he might have had to put a lot more downforce on that car, and that might be as our leader in the AM class has crashed. Sorry, as I'm holding that thought.
Well, the question is, did he jump or was he pushed? Oh no! That's
my
a heartbreaker.
Goodness. Oh, that.
So close,
all
and yet
alone
so far.
Here.
Entirely by himself, and he'll be kicking himself for that, won't he?
Yeah. Oh, he was actually P2 at the time, but yeah, he would still be kicking himself as a V3 car just tried to go out, and that is, you know, especially, you know, I'm a little bit sad, you know, that he crashes a Domino designed car. Just, you know, shameless plug there. As we see,
now it's the Lamborghini of Van der Linde that has the lead, so the Canadian driver currently leading the category. We've not seen much of him at the beginning of the season, but someone who we talked a lot about in our GT3 League, and we should give some credit to for a strong performance, is Jamie Smith, currently in third. And I would venture to guess or theorize perhaps that Jamie maybe isn't quite as comfortable or as strong in these GT3 cars as he was in the GTEs, at least compared to the rest of the field. Because I really feel like he would be further up the field in the GTEs, especially with that. We saw him driving a lot in that BMW M8, didn't we?
Yeah, but, well, Jamie has never really been the guy at the forefront of the class. Jamie won a couple of races. Ooh, that BMW doesn't look planted at the braking zone here. But he did win a couple of races the season that he won the championship as well in GT. But he was never, you know, it was never a Mike Shepard's kind of thing. You know, he won the championship due to having great consistency and getting the points when he needed to. Oh, they're just lifting through the kink as well. I think one thing is to save fuel, but I think that those BMWs are not that stable, actually. At least from what I can see here on board, that doesn't look like a nice car to drive.
No, and you would expect it to be a lot more planted, a lot more stable, being a front-engine car, much like its, I guess, sister car being front-engine, the Mercedes AMG. But it seems like this season, at least, with the latest balance of performance adjustments from iRacing, I think the Mercedes has certainly taken a step up compared to the BMW, and even just compared to the rest of the class. I think it's been much more powerful than we've seen in the last few seasons. It's been much more competitive week in and week out, that AMG. So at the cost of that, of course, is that the BMW is less effective in comparison. And of course, what I would argue is the best car, the best of the GT3 cars this season is certainly that McLaren GT3. A close second probably going to the Lamborghini. But I mean, it's hard to argue against the top speed, combined with the just downright incredible rotation of that McLaren. So you got to get the best of both worlds of speed on the straights and in the corners with the McLaren. As we see some pit callers here, Adam Flynn, Isaac Yen, and Marvin Sluman all in the pit lane. Those were all cars, especially Isaac, who were in pretty good position here. Isaac with the first stall on pit lane. We'll see whether or not he gets in and out cleanly, where he ends up coming out. Seems he's taking fuel now, so he has been in the pits not too long, it doesn't seem. I would imagine that they're taking fuel only, certainly not tires. Yep, there he goes. now pulls off of the pit lane just behind the 232. That's one of our AM drivers. I don't know which one off the top of my head. Oh, and Isaac's hit the wall on exit. On the pit limiter, and Isaac has hit the wall on the exit of the pit lane. Not too much damage, it doesn't seem, but that is interesting as we see our leader now coming down the pit lane, Kiefer McKenna. So Kiefer McKenna now on the pit lane, having a little bit of an internet issue for Nick, but we'll keep coming with you here. We'll take a look. Yeah, so Kiefer's still on pit lane. That gives the lead to Owen Blythe and Mike Skeppers. They've been able to save a lot of fuel here. We'll see whether or not they're able to push it any further to the end of the race. Of course, the benefit of fuel saving also not just being able to wait longer to get into the pit lane, or not just having more fuel in the tank, but they'll not have to spend nearly as much time on the pit lane as someone like Kiefer McKenna, who have not been able to do much of any fuel saving. Jamie Smith, the leader in the AM category, he comes into the pit lane. Merlin Cooper as well. Michael Edens and Chris Yardley going to take those top 10 positions back away from them. We'll ride on board with Mike Skeppers, see if he is still trying to save fuel, if we can get him coming into the pit lane rather soon. And it looks like Thomas Kuhn also into the pit lane. He and Jamie Smith both just make their way out of the pit lane here. Riding on board with the McLaren of Mike Skeppers. We'll look a little bit further back. This Kiefer McKenna now has cycled back into the third position. So Skeppers and Blythe, the last cars left to dive into the pit lane. We'll see if they're still going. Looks like they're actually going to come into the pit lane together. So that's Skeppers and Blythe both coming in here. Hard on the brakes for both cars. And hopefully no speeding penalties for them. How far back is Kiefer? Yep, Kiefer going to be coming onto oval turn 3 now as Blythe and Skeppers staying together. Oh, and Blythe has missed his pit box. He's overshot the box and is going to lose some time on the pit lane. So we'll see where he cycles out. Got to keep a close eye on Kiefer McKenna. So Mike Skeppers now coming out of the pit lane, whereas McKenna is now coming into turn 1. The Irishman going to try to take that first position back. He's currently scored as the leader. Looks like he's got it. So solid pit strategy as we've got Nick back finally, it looks.
Yeah, I'm back. I hope that it holds up a little bit. Oh, Blythe just looked a little bit out of touch right there.
Well, he overshot the pit box coming in, so he lost quite a bit of time. He came in actually ahead of Mike Skeppers and has now come out well behind him. So now is the question, have we been seeing Mike's full pace at the beginning of this race? That is going to be the question. We're seeing him get off the gas a little bit early, let Alvar Gomez make a move on Dan Alpel, not able to make anything stick. That's 3 different manufacturers, BMW, Audi, and McLaren, all under a blanket for position. That's actually for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th overall and on track in the class. So this is your battle for the pro podium going back and forth. Gomez going to go to the inside, and it looks like Dan Alpel will actually just leave him go. Actually, maybe just a little bit of a late apex there for Dan Alpel coming onto the high banks of the speedway. Now you can see a little bit up front, you can see the gap to Kiefer McKenna. That's going to be the target for our McLaren driver. Oh, and he goes to the inside. Gomez, a little bit of a hesitation, trying to go to the outside of Dan Alpel, and Alpel actually sets a little bit of a pick, didn't he, for his teammate Mike Skeppers, who now slides into the 3rd position. So that's -1 for Gomez and +1 for Skeppers, and it looks like Alpel's just going to let him by. Good teamwork between the two V3 Racing drivers, both in their black liveries. The McLaren now cycles up, I should say, to the 2nd position. Now 4.9 seconds the gap to Kiefer McKenna. Will Mike Skeppers be able to unleash the pace as Gomez
is trying on the outside? Let's see if he can make it, but yeah, Alpel just,
we've seen him make this move earlier in the race. Can he make it stick again? Oh, and they've made contact.
I don't think, I think they were close to. I don't think they had contact, but that was definitely close to, as Alva was definitely on the edge of what that car could do in terms of, the tires. being like, nah, mate, we can't do this anymore. But damn, Shepherds is close. Shepherds is really close to McKenna here, and that's probably what we saw with the fuel saving strategy. You know, he was already clutching out, you know, with 300 meters to the corner, and just saving. You know, if you save a couple of liters, that's, you know, easily 2 or 3 seconds in the pit stop as well. So yeah, now the gap is all the way down to 4.4 seconds, which is, you know, not that much, but, you know, still there's 12 minutes left of this race, so he needs to get a move on. But yeah, everybody had to pit as we have a crash.
Yeah, looks like Gowrie has made a mistake and gone off the track in the Centurion Racing BMW, teammate to Stephen Brumfield. What's going to set him off here? Oh, just a little bit of a downshift there. Over-revved the engine and sent him around. But no damage, so he'll rejoin rather easily in the 208. And just behind, looks like he's only lost 1 position on track. Not sure if that was a 4 position in class, but I guess we will find out, won't we? As Kiefer McKenna now taking a look here at him trying to maintain as much of a gap as he can. Now 4.5 seconds, the gap between himself and Mike Skeppers for the lead of the race. Let's ride on board with Skeppers, who I'm sure will be pushing that car to its absolute limits here. Gonna go through the kink here, one of the toughest sections of the track. Got to keep that car nicely balanced to the left-hand side of the track and into the second horseshoe. And just absolutely butter smooth for Mike, isn't it?
Definitely. He has this car completely as he wants it, and that's the thing that I was talking about, you know, a little bit more downforce, a little bit more grip, but not as much top speed. Let's see, you know, right now it's down to 4.1 seconds, so he's really taken out 3/10 alone in this first sector. But, you know, this is where we saw before, he wasn't able to overtake the other guys as well, so he might be a little bit down on power, as Gomez has just taken P3 while we are on board here, and so he is definitely trying to catch her. He's going on the outside of Alpol. That's not a easy move to do.
Oh wow,
and he's just
that was
taking
clean.
that before the bus stop. That was really clean, really great racing from both the drivers right there, and nothing that Alpol could do, and just Gomez being, you know, really fast out there and trying to see if he can set after Shepherds.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to not root for somebody like that when you see such awesome, clean racing as they're side by side, nearly touching between the BMW and the Audi. What incredible racing between these two drivers, and clean racing. That's what we love to see here on the Apex Online Racing channel. And I mean, it doesn't get any better than this, does it?
Oh, definitely not. And as I can see in chat, there should be a tasty battle between Smith and Cooper. I have no idea what that is.
That is the battle for second and third in the AM category. Oh, and Merlin spins! He's spun coming into the corner. Did he just come in with too much speed?
And that was that diva again, as we talked about. Oh, he's just...
It just looked like when he turned that wheel to the right just a little bit to stay off of the door, that's what sent him around. But it doesn't look like he's lost any positions. So he's gotten away with that.
Yeah, but I think that has taken the best out of his tires, as you can see. Oh, he's losing position.
So he's fallen to fourth, just barely, but he's still well in touch with Mads Jensen in the BMW, only just ahead of him. So that is the battle right there for the final podium spot in the AM category. Now we'll look back at the battle between Gomez and Alpol. Looks like Gomez is going to get the better of Alpol coming out of the banking. Develops a little bit of a gap there, but we're going to keep a close eye on Merlin here, see if he has the speed to get back around Jensen for what will be the final step on the podium in the AM category. A very commanding lead for Daniel van der Linde at the top of the AM category. Now the move to the inside for Merlin Cooper. Let's see if Mads Jensen will just yield the position? Yeah, looks like it. Oh, and he gone a little bit too deep there. Yeah, he'll lose a good bit of time. Rather courteous of him to give that much room to Merlin, but that will actually open him up to a potential attack from Victor Mateos. That won't be a position in class, but rather just on track, as we see now. Let's take a look at the battle for the lead. The gap now when Mike took second place, the gap was 4.5 seconds. Now 3.5 seconds. The gap with only 7 minutes remaining. Can Kiefer McKenna keep up the pace well enough to take the win in the pro category from Mike Skeppers? Alvar Gomez, I was actually just about to talk about him a little bit before we saw that amazing battle between himself and Alpel. It's hard to root, hard not to root for someone like Alvar, he's a little bit on the quiet side, but you can't find any cleaner driver who's still driving hard. There's a really fine line between driving aggressive and driving hard, and having the skill to discern between those two. And I think Alvar is a perfect example of that. He's been able to race side by side with people and put a lot of pressure on all of these drivers without making any sort of contact, having any sort of controversy. We saw a little bit earlier in this race how aggression can lead to greed, and greed to tears, as you like to say. It ends in tears. When we saw Steven Brumfield trying to take a few positions earlier in the race, and that ended up sending him all the way back to
blind the pits.
As Blythe,
Owen
so Blythe has had to pit again. Has he underfueled?
He might have. But one thing that is really interesting, have you seen the gap between Keith and Shepard's? That's all the way down to 1.5 seconds, 1.2 now.
Wow.
Keith has lost a huge amount of time there. I think he's effed up the bus stop.
Yeah, he messed up. His last lap time was a 1 minute 46.23, whereas Skeppers ran a 1:43.98. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the battle for the lead with 5 minutes remaining in our feature race here at the Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. The Irishman leading the Dutchman. Now it is 191 from 196, both V3 racing cars, but it is a Lamborghini who leads it currently, and a McLaren who wants it. Gomez, another 3.8 seconds back from Skeppers. Then Dan Alpel going to try to put pressure on him for the final podium spot in the lead.
He's only 0.3 seconds behind there, so he's getting closer and closer. The thing is Kiefer gonna just let this up, or is he gonna battle, and not be as Dan did? Dan just let Mike go by, or is the Irishman, the nuts Irishman here, actually gonna try and battle for that position?
Well, he is a crazy lad, isn't he? I can't think of anybody more exciting in the paddock to be around, and certainly quite the character for anyone to enjoy spending time with. As we'll ride on board, you can hear the roaring V10 engine behind Kiefer. Here, gonna try to keep that car out front of the McLaren. Now looking from the perspective of Mike Skeppers, that is getting closer and closer, and we know that they're both in the same radio channel, so they're talking to each other, I am sure. The question is whether or not Kiefer is going to fight to keep this position with only 3 minutes remaining, just about 2 laps left to decide this race.
This is gonna be so close, and we can really see the Mike has. That's a little bit of an oversteer. He's really pushing it out there. But the interesting thing is with driving so hard, is his tires gonna last up? Or are they gonna die? And as we are having this, Dan is getting closer and closer as well in the background. So, I think he's gonna go for a move here. Dan is getting closer and closer. The battle for P1, P2. Oh, that was close. He could almost. Oh, he's losing a little bit. They are really pushing and using the new laid down curbs here at Daytona International Speedway into the bus stop. That right there for a season ago, that would have been right into the dirt. As Shepard is now going on the outside. He's going on the outside. Is he gonna make it, or see? again, you know, that McLaren just doesn't have the top speed to be there.
It's got great
Let's see.
acceleration, but it seems to struggle on the top speed. Maybe it's just the setup, or it could be the car, as the V3 Racing car is all sharing a lot of their setups. Is McKenna going to do a great job defending the inside line? How long can he keep this up? Only just under 2 minutes remaining in the feature race at Daytona. The question is, will Mike Skeppers have the speed to catch and pass Kiefer McKenna? McKenna into the horseshoe. We'll see whether or not he makes any sort of mistake. The brake rotor's glowing on the 196 of Mike Skeppers. This is as close as it has been. Gotta stay on this battle. I mean, it's hard to look at anything else, is it? As we'll see. Try to look for just a second at Merlin Cooper. No, he's not made any more time up on Jamie Smith. So this is the biggest battle on track right now. On board with Mike. He will be deep into the draft of Kiefer. Is he going to be able to make a move to the inside? He sends it here. And I think Kiefer's left it. Kiefer's left the door open. That's the pass. Can Kiefer make any sort of move back? No. Mike Skeppers has made it from the back of the field all the way to the front, and he now leads with just under a minute remaining here at Daytona, and I think he will come around to take the white flag, so just 2 laps left to go.
Dan and Gomez as well. They are side by side. Oh my goodness. We only have one screen. Why are you doing this? As they're going side by side at the front as well. They're going side by side at the front as well.
Oh, they're back to side by side here. Can Kiefer make a move here? Not quite. We're going to go back and take a look at Alpel. Oh, and Dan's made a mistake. He went deeper on the outside. Gomez holds on to the spot. So Gomez now in the 3rd position still. And Dan going to look to the inside. Oh, that's deep going in there. That's going to be close between them. But what clean racing between these 2 drivers. Absolutely spectacular. Is Kiefer not letting Mike get away? Is he going to be able to make any sort of move coming to the last lap? I think we've now gotten our white flag, as he is well within striking distance of the McLaren. But look at how spectacular that McLaren is on the acceleration, on that loud pedal, as Kiefer keeping it nice and clean to the inside. Will he be able to take advantage of the draft?
Oh, I think he lost a little bit too much coming out of that final corner. And I think the same for Dan. He has not been as close as he were before. But let's see what is going on down here, as Mike is trying to break up the slipstream, and we will have a race going all the way down to the wire here.
And we've also got a race that is for 8th and 9th in class. Chris Yardley trying to make a move on Stephen Broomfield right at the end here. We'll take a look. We'll wait for them to sort that out a little bit here, as 0.3 of a second the gap between McKenna and Mike here. I don't think it's going to be close enough. Gonna try to go on board here with Kiefer coming across the line. It's not enough. Oh, just barely.
No. Dan overtook. Dan got Gomez. Dan got Gomez with 24 thousandths of a second. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What happened there?
I'm trying to see the replay there.
So now we are on this final lap here. Let's try and go on board with Dan for his Oh, he's all the way underneath the 2 yellow lines.
Oh, but is that going to be called by the stewards? Oh,
that
what a good race to the
stewards.
end. Such a spectacular race to the end. Are the stewards going to reverse that? Going to be interesting to see whether or not they do. But while we wait to see that, have Chris Yardley and Stephen Broomfield come across the line yet? Yes, they have. So it is Mike Skeppers who takes the victory over Kiefer McKenna. That's another V3 Racing 1-2-3, as they seem to be going for a little bit of a celebratory ride through the infield, aren't they?
That is the lovebirds on the picnic.
Yeah, as we see them crashing into each other here. Oh, and they flipped. Well done, lads. Well done.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But what a race here at the end. oh my goodness, and that's the thing, with these type of races. It builds and it builds and it builds, and then suddenly you have these really, really close battles all the way at the end, and it's AOR again showing what great racing we can put on here at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. As we wait for iRacing to finish queuing up all the cars here, looks like we will, in fact, have our points, or our race results, I should say. So we're going to go up to the front here. It was Mike Skeppers who just barely took it away from Kiefer McKenna. Only 0.07 of a second between the two of them. Dan Alpel just barely inching out Alvar Gomez, but that's going to be interesting to take a look at from the Stewards panel. We'll have to give you an update on that next week. Then it was Verblaine who had a quiet but successful race. So too did Michael Edens and Silver Tam. They all with solid finishes between 5th, 6th, and 7th. Stephen Broomfield, who might be a little bit afraid of the Stewards panel this week, won't he? Coming out of this race, Chris Yardley in 9th position, and the 10th spot goes to Marvin Sluman. Now, huge credit to Daniel van der Linde with an absolutely commanding victory in the AM category. Jensen not able to hold off Merlin Cooper for 3rd, and Jamie Smith, who we talked about earlier, took 2nd place. Then further down the field in category, then Andres Ansu, Davey Van Ababel, Pierre Thompson, friend from Estonia whose name I will never be able to pronounce, our fake snowflakes, Stefan Kamke and David Gowrie, the first of our DNFs. An unfortunate finish for Isaac Yen, who did not make it across the lines. Neither did Andy Gorton or John Hallowell. Asher Blythe did finish the race, but only barely. So unfortunate for all of those drivers who were not able to take advantage of the feature race points here. But before we get some interviews, Nick, let's have your thoughts on everything that kind of happened here.
It was really a crazy race, and for me, a race of two halves. A first race, or first part of the race that was so chaotic, and we had cars going left and right, and some not so pretty driving, and then a second half with high intensity, close racing, great battles, and gentlemen driving, giving each other just enough space to be there. And so for me, that's that. And a Mike that if he wasn't afraid of him going through this season, as dominant as anything could be, you should be now, because that was just a demonstrative show of pace right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you didn't see him as the championship favorite before, you sure do now. And we do have ready for interview in the box someone whose name we didn't even have in the overlay correctly until just at the end. Daniel, what a spectacular finish for you in that Lamborghini.
I guess P1 is always a good result.
I mean,
of course, Lamborghini being Lamborghini, it was kind of twitchy under braking, I found, but held it together.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a strong performance from flag to flag for you. Give us a rundown of who you really saw as a threat throughout the race, or if you kind of just kept it nice and calm and smooth. We saw some unfortunate endings for some of your closest competitors.
I mean, everyone's a threat, because it takes one mistake and you're down 5-10 seconds and in the middle of the pack, and then you'll never stretch out a lead that way. I spent most of the first stint with somebody 5/10 out away from me, and I was pretty sure that was going to happen for the whole race. But
so, we're going next week to... Actually, I don't remember where we're going next week, but what do you see as your biggest goal coming to the end of this season? Would you see yourself as a championship threat, or are you just trying to kind of go out there and go trophy hunting?
might as well go trophy hunting. I'm pretty sure I lost my championship hopes at after the first couple of weeks. But we'll see what happens. Enough trophies, maybe I get a championship.
Are you? Yeah. Well. So, if it's about being up there, but as we are going to Hockenheim next time out in the same format as we had today, do you see that as a track that you can find anything on, or have you been out there in the GT3s, or is this gonna be a completely new experience?
Well, I've definitely had a fair amount of experience at Hockenheim from the F1 games to start with, and then right as it came out, I got it and participated in it in the GT4s and in the GT3s when they were there during week 13. It's a fun track. I like it a lot, but I presume a lot of the other people are going to like it a lot and be very good at it too. So expectations maybe mid-pack. Depends.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be a challenging race, but it was spectacular to see you up front there. Congratulations, and we can't wait to see how you do next week.
Yeet.
All right, and next up into the commentary booth, one of our favorite drivers to interview and have around, one of the most exciting characters in the paddock, Kiefer McKenna. Kiefer just barely missed out there. What made the difference that Mike was able to overtake you, and what do you think you could have done differently?
I'm kind of mad right now. I knew letting him by was, he was going to get by me anyway. My plan was basically just he would get past me and then I'd get him at the line. But yeah, I didn't do that. Yeah.
I mean, we did see a couple of laps where you lost a significant amount of time in the bus stop. Was that the weak point for the Lamborghini, or did you just know from the beginning that Mike was going to be able to catch you?
I got a slowdown because I was pushing pretty hard, but he was going to catch me whether I got a slowdown or not. But yeah, the car through the bus stop, if you get on throttle, it won't turn. So it's pretty bad there, but he was going to catch me anyway.
Well, P2 in the feature race, but a little bit of an unfortunate start to the sprint race. What exactly went wrong for you for the sprint race?
I thought I knew everything about Daytona with over 1,000 laps, but it turns out at the first horseshoe there's a big curb, and it's not just a big curb; it's a curb with gravel, then a curb, and then if you go over that, then you die. So yeah, I did that.
Well, as always, it's a pleasure having you up in the booth, and we wish you the best of luck for next week at Hockenheim with the same format.
Okay, love you, Brayden.
Love you too, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now up into the box, Alvar Gomez. We talked a lot about you on the broadcast, just being absolutely spectacular and clean in your racing. We saw some interesting incidents and contact between other drivers. What was the difference for your car, Alvar, that made it so much better than others when you were racing side by side?
Well, maybe I have to say that I have done a lot of race this week, so I think that maybe training more than the others makes me a little bit faster. But I have been all the race fighting with Dan, and he was also fast as me. But yeah, maybe training helps.
Right, and
How do sorry. How do you see that? Because it was amazing looking at your guys' battle as well. But how do you see that last run through the line? Him overtaking you under the yellow lines. Is that something that you're gonna take to the stewards, or are you just saying, well, that was kind of how that went?
I don't think. I mean, for people say that it's allowed to use the apron to overtake under the yellow line at the last lap, and in all the official race that I have done, a lot of people have used the apron to overtake, and I have also used it at the first race. and I'm not going to appeal or report it. It's fine.
Well, we've seen that you're obviously in the Audi. What made you choose that car, even though it's not been quite as popular of a choice in the series as, for example, the McLaren or the Mercedes?
It's the only car that I have buy, so I choose it
Well, it seems to be
because
working so far, huh?
what?
It seems to be working well so far.
Yes, I have tried other cars, but for me the Audi is the best. For example, in Watkins, it wasn't the fastest car, but now you can battle for the win with the Audi, so I think it has been a good choice.
Well, it was spectacular watching you race out there, and we really look forward to seeing you back again next week at Hockenheim.
Thank you.
Well, Nick, I guess it's the time of the race for our nominations for driver of the race. If you have any recommendations, we ask for your suggestions in the YouTube chat. But Nick, who would be your nomination for the driver of the race?
I'm a little bit torn. The easy choice is to say Mike, because that was just incredible, recovery for what he did. But I will also say, Gomez that we just talked with here. He really. I knew that he was a fast driver, but from what we have seen, but today he really showed me a lot. And just his, he's just a racer through and through. Also from what we just heard. So I think for me it should go to him actually. Just because Mike is just it's just Mike. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly that Alvar Gomez was absolutely the driver of the race. He was spectacular from flag to flag and didn't necessarily have the outright pace, but what he lacked in pace, he made up for in skill and precision when driving side by side with other drivers and really embodying the kind of racing that we love to see here at AOR.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess that's about time to close everything up. So, on behalf of the Apex Online Racing GT3 League, our sponsors Elgato and GT Omega, of course, myself, Brayden Hill, and my co-commentator, Niclas Domino, we'd like to thank you for joining us here at the World Center of Racing, and we will see you at the same time next week for the race at Hockenheim. First time there in AOR history, and going to be looking forward to a spectacular race. So thank you once again for joining us, and we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night.
And with